the show, the edit, is using this as a storyline for their show to also look performative, to say, hey, look, we're showing this in the edit. You shouldn't make jokes like this because words hurt. But the same performative show cast people like Colton, who stalked a woman, who was a criminal, and giving him a platform yet again to use his sexuality as a weapon. What is up, everybody? I had to record this video after these 2 episodes of the Traitors US done pissed me off. I couldn't wait until tomorrow to record. I was watching with my girlfriend Q. She's tapping out after these episodes, mostly because the boot list sucks, and it does. All the entertaining people going home, and we're left with the likes of Steven. Who even is that? Tara, given nothing. The boot list is an atrocity, but more than that, the bigger atrocity is the casting of Colton, and that was the big issue I had with these 2 episodes. Earlier this week, I posted the video about Colton's past as a stalker after his Bachelor season, stalking Cassie from that season, and then conveniently coming out as gay right after that to protect him from that creepiness of his. In these 2 episodes, by the end of episode 5, he was weaponizing his sexuality to stay in the game, and it seems that that's all Colton is gay for. He'll bring it up all the time. He's gay, and it becomes quite a big topic. He talked about, I think in episode 4, about going on The Bachelor pretending to be straight, which is also not a great look for him, in my opinion, to sign up for that show knowing you're gay and playing a bunch of women. But it goes back to him being a woman hater and stalking women, just being quite weird with women. We saw it in episode 4 with Tiffany, but it got worse with episode 5. I'm actually going to talk about episode 5 first, at least the round table of episode 5, and then I'll circle back and talk about episode 4 and what led to, I guess, pissing me off first with the Colton situation. But Colton and Michael Rappaport got into it because Colton just likes to throw out names. He wants to be the leader so bad. He has super main character energy, even though he's becoming loud and wrong. Even though, when Ron was loud and wrong, everyone's been holding that against Ron ever since. But Colton was loud and wrong with Tiffany in episode 4 and is still out there throwing out names. And I do feel like maybe there could have been a bigger consensus on votes for Colton had Michael not, I guess, set a joke out the round table saying that if anyone could keep a secret, it would probably be Colton in regards to being a traitor. Colton then was so offended by that because, oh my God, you're talking about me being gay for 29 years and holding that in. And it likely was a gay joke from Michael Rappaport, although it could have been him talking about the secrets that Colton was keeping when he was stalking Cassie. He was sending secret text messages to Cassie, Cassie's family, himself. He even was sending secret text messages to himself because he is that crazy. Michael could have very well been talking about that. And that is the elephant in the room that we're not seeing in these edits. And I think that is a huge problem because if you are going to cast someone like Colton, it should be a topic and not just his weaponizing his sexuality, which is all he seems to be able to do these days. But we don't see that topic. I don't know if the topic's not coming up. I kind of feel like it's not because all these celebrities are so damn fake. So I don't think the topic is actually coming up. So I don't think it's actually an editing issue. I think it's an issue with the cast not knowing who Colton is and his psycho past history of stalking a woman and being a weirdo to not only her, but her friends and family. I don't know if they don't know or if they're just, not talking about that elephant in the room. My biggest issue came when everyone started jumping on board, acting offended for Colton. Now, I can understand, kinda understand how some of the other gay players were jumping in on that. But really, it all came off as very performative to me, that everyone was acting so offended over Michael's joke at the round table when it came to Colton being able to keep a secret. I thought it was quite blown out of proportion because it is Michael Rappaport, and because he does say controversial things, and because he is annoying. It's easy for everyone to gang up on Michael. But I do think the performativeness of it all comes off bad, not only for the players in the game, not only for the gay players in the game, but for the gay community in general, because people like Colton are a bad look for the gay community, because not everyone in that community is an ally, actually, or weaponizing it for a game show or to get on all these different game shows like Colton keeps doing is a bad look. Natalie got on my nerves taking that moral stance, one of the only strategic players in the game, trying to take a moral stance with this vote, wasting it on Michael because of a joke. Once again, everyone's so offended by words. The worst of all, though, is that the Traitors are the show, the edit, is using this as a storyline for their show to also look performative, to say, hey, look, we're showing this in the edit. You shouldn't make jokes like this because words hurt. But this same performative show cast people like Colton, who stalked a woman, who was a criminal, and giving him a platform yet again to use his sexuality as a weapon. It's a terrible look for the show. It's honestly not a good look for the cast in general. And frankly, the faithful completely lost me with that episode. They deserve to lose this game. They're terrible at the game now. I mean, the first half of the game, it is always harder for the faithful. It just is. It's a much harder game. But the faithful left are not likable. They're not doing a good job at the game. They're completely in the dark. They keep listening to Colton. They keep being very cliquey, as I talked about somewhat in one of my videos over the past week. But the clickiness, having someone like Colton try and lead the way and giving him the benefit of the doubt while continuing to not give Ron the benefit of the doubt is also not a good look. You know, if Ron wasn't so being himself, he could use the race card like Colton is weaponizing his sexuality, because they're pushing him to the side. They're making him be a martyr, and he is at sometimes, making himself a victim, I suppose. But yet Colton can continue to get away with this. And now with what happened at the round table, he has another excuse to use his narcissistic tendencies to make people feel sorry for him because of what Michael said at a round table, when the joke might not have been about his sexuality, but might have been about him being able to keep a secret when he was stalking a woman and sending text messages to her and sending text messages to himself like a psycho. When I was watching this with Q, she brought up a great point about when Kristen was talking about how the traitor is Colton, because I think what Kristen was reading was that Colton was intimidated by Monet. And Kristen didn't say this, but Q's great observation was that Monet is so comfortable being her great gay self, and Colton is just not. Colton can never be as authentic as Monet or a lot of the people in this game, like Ron. Colton will never be able to be his authentic self because he can't show the world, although he is kind of doing it, but he doesn't want to come out and admit to the world that he is a psycho. Although if you're watching him closely, you can very well see his narcissistic tendencies, for one, but also the way he's always throwing out names. I don't know how more people don't pick up on this. By the end of episode 5, Kristen and Mark and others are talking about this, but these are the same people that don't talk at the round table. A lot of the faithful left aren't bringing shit. So, hoping for a traitor win. I think it's pretty obvious by the edit that Rob likely wins this game. I mean, the editing is doing a bad job this season, so it wouldn't surprise me if Rob does end up winning. And if not Rob by himself, then at least Rob and one other traitor is how I see this season playing out. But hopefully that winner is not Colton. It could be, though, because these faithful, a lot of them seem to want to continue to listen to him. In episode 4, to jump to that, to Tiffany's sad banishing, Tiffany didn't have a great read on the game, thinking Jam, Michael, and Ron were the 3 traitors. I feel like, to give Tiffany the benefit of the doubt, the last 2 seasons, the traitors were always taking shots at each other. Dan ruined the traitors in season 2. Last season, the traitors were at each other's throat the whole season. So I think Tiffany was reading too much into the Jam Michael beef and Ron being involved with Donna and thinking that those 3 were the traitors, but I can see how she thought that. It was in episode 4 that Colton decided that he was going to put this big target on Tiffany's back, which did end up working. Michael, was calling them all out after Tiffany was banished, that they were these ringleaders, that there's certain ringleaders, that Colton's a bad ringleader, but nobody listens. Another thing that put the target on Tiffany's back, though, was Eric's dumbass. I mean, Eric thought he heard this laugh at the face-to-face traitor kill when they ended up killing Caroline, and he thought he heard Tiffany's laugh, and his evidence for that was that he's a singer and he knows pitches. But when Michael was making fun of his magical ears and saying maybe he's not a good singer, I have to agree with Michael. I mean, if that's what Eric is using for his excuse to vote Tiffany, or his evidence to vote Tiffany, I think, you can make fun of that. I've never heard the man sing, but I bet he's pitchy if he's singing live. Rob said he's heard Eric sing before, but I don't even know if I believe that from Rob. I think Rob just says things, and people listen to him for whatever reason. I don't know at what point these faithfuls will start looking at the more quieter people, but I hope it's after they vote out Colton. So yeah, there was a lot of problems with these episodes. Kristen, saw Colton. It's crazy eyes, I think. Colton does have crazy eyes. You can always tell a psycho by their eyes. The eyes never lie. Ron continues to be loud and wrong. He went from thinking Maura was the traitor in episode 4 because apparently the walking was light. There was somebody very light-footed walking during the face-to-face killing, allegedly. And then in episode 5, he thought it was Michael and Dorinda working together. Him and Dorinda had some awkward conversations where he called out Dorinda to his face. I like Ron's approach to the game when it comes to not wanting to actually get too close to people, because it might make him think different about a person and not want to go after them because he's personally involved with them. But honestly, that approach isn't working for him either, because he is all over the place when it comes to... He's basically a different version of Michael, thinking many different people are the traitors. So in these episodes, we lost Caroline, then we lost Tiffany, then they killed off Monet. Monet was the only faithful guessing Lisa, so that's why they ended up killing Monet off. Candace told that to Lisa. I don't really know if Candace should have done that. Candace is not exactly making enough allies in the game like others might try to do within the traitors. Rob is saying he's allied with Colton, but then when Colton started to bring up Lisa's name at the end of episode 5. Once again, Colton bringing up yet another name. Colton continues to be the most aggressive player this season. I mean, it's not surprising this is the same man that is a huge aggressive stalker. So it's no surprise that he is just stalking a bunch of different people. He has still never actually called out a man, though. I just still want to point that out. Yeah, he went toe-to-toe with Michael, but he was not the one leading that first charge against Michael. It him and Michael going head to head. Colton continues to only target women. Now his target is Lisa, and yeah, he's finally right for once, but I don't know. I really don't like the man. He's terrible casting, and the longer he's still here, the less I want to watch. I will say, when Candace is gone, so will my reviews. So I will say that hopefully Candace makes the end, or I will be tapping out early myself, because the boot list, it's not good. I mean, it was already bad the first 3 episodes, but after these 2, it's even worse. And a lot of these people left. What are they going to bring to these roundtables? They barely talk at the roundtables. Steven says nothing. Steven said about 2 lines per episode. Kristen has started to talk more, at least, finally. But she doesn't talk at the roundtables. Eric finally spoke up at a roundtable, and his magic ears were wrong as fuck. Tara doesn't speak up at the roundtables. Johnny doesn't speak up at the roundtables. The people left don't. They're not making me seem like the rest of this season is going to be good television. So, some tough 2 episodes tonight with the Traitors.